What's that? A ghost? What is Graham doing? I have no idea. I don't know if your camera's broken in any way whatsoever. What is it?
No, you said you were going to leave me to do the show for the whole show, so I thought I'd leave you to do the whole show. Good afternoon, folks. That's Cuddy just telling me I'm doing the whole show, but I'm not. He's here too. So, afternoon, folks. Let me introduce you to. I'm not allowed to say the man, the myth, the legend. He's told me off for that. Apparently, I modelled it from him. Can I introduce you to the Scotland's strongest man, the UK's leading mind management coach, and my favourite BNI mentor, Mr. Cuddy Kidworth.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, the man, the myth, the legend, my actual mentor, Graham Nichols. Welcome to the show.
Folks, how are we doing? What are we talking about today, Cuddy? Do you know what? It's been an all right week. It's been an all right week. Loads of stuff going on, plenty of clients, plenty of creating stuff, and I can't believe that it's the last day of the first 6 months of the year. Where the heck has that gone? I have no idea. Say,
I felt very productive in the first 6 months.
Excellent. That's the main thing. Are you going to be productive in the second 6 months?
Yes, I've got even more productivity coming. Absolutely. Consistency is key. Anyway, we're not talking about that today. Today, we're talking about overcoming fears and phobias instantly. Now, I don't know if you are listening to the show or watching the show, send us in some comments. This is going to be a live open show where you can say, well, this is what my fear is. And we're going to ask you some questions to actually find out, because we've talked about this in the past, but we create a story and an association that's probably not real. Then over time, we repeat the same story. And then we think it's the Lego brick that we've stood on. That's the phobia and the fear, which is not the Lego brick. It was probably a conversation that your mum and dad were having, and there's an association breakdown. So that's what we're going to be talking about, overcoming fears. And yes, some of the things you can actually overcome instantly, because once you realize that the way you've placed that blame on the fear and the phobia is probably not the actual fear or phobia. That's how pesky your little brain is, and how pesky we are of not understanding the information that we're sending up there. Is that not true or false, Graham?
It's absolutely true. And I was thinking, while I sat waiting for us to go live, I was thinking, have you ever considered how many words that we have in the English language that basically associate to the word fear? We create word after word after word that basically just means fear. So phobia,
overcomplication.
Yeah, exactly. Phobia is a fear of something, isn't it? Let's be honest. Stress,
anxiety,
fear. Anxiety, fear. So many words we create, just and then you talk about anxiety, and then there's the whole myriad of different types of anxiety that are fear. That's what they are.
And people, and I'm like, do you know, I'm doing a live talk tonight, and I've started opening up. Tonight's the open talk I'm going to do is, you don't have anxiety, you're creating it. All right, so I'm going to talk about it, why, the limiting beliefs, and what we're actually really creating. And I always ask people does anybody actually know what anxiety is? And the amount of people that don't, I've got this, fear. That's literally fear locked in your subconscious mind, pull you away. Once you start veering towards it, vibrations, fear, keep you safe. You got to keep
Absolutely. I think that was my biggest problem when I suffered, all those years ago. And I remember walking out the doctors with a prescription thinking, well, that's great. You've given me some, you want me to take some tablets, but I don't actually know what those words mean. I don't know what fear and stress and depression and anxiety and all of that sort of stuff. I have no idea what they actually, or I didn't back then actually know what they mean. And I think that's the biggest problem with all of these words we create for fear, is we don't really know what they mean. We don't know that all anxiety is, I say all it is, it can be horrific, it can be terrible, been there, felt it, know how it feels, but we have no idea, and we don't teach people that it's fear. That's what it is. And it's not fear of getting run over by a bus or getting chased by a woolly mammoth or something from years gone by. It is fear that we create in there with the stories we tell ourselves, right?
And the limiting beliefs that we have. Absolutely. And we like to put a label that overcomplicates what we actually have.
Yeah, we
do.
So
for anyone, absolutely. Like you said, you got lots of clients in. The amount of times So I've had a lot of success recently, and I know we've talked about this. Is like I generally try and get it done in 2, 3, 4 sessions maximum.
Yeah,
because to work with me is different. I do stuff for overcoming anxiety, depression, and fears, but then I work with people on mindset and mind management and really propelling their careers in more happiness and success in their life. So I've got 2 different things that we do. But when I'm dealing with people that say, and I have like, oh, well, I've got complex PTSD or I've got CC PTSD. And I'm like, right, okay, what's that one? And complex child PTSD, right? Okay, let's go through that. Let's work through that. Okay, so you've got a fear of not being good enough. No, I've got and I'm like, trust me, let's really just simplify it. And I think even like social anxiety, and I know I'm going to talk about that tonight, but social anxiety, well, no, I've got social anxiety, so I can't do something. If everybody knew, it's not, the thing is, it's not really a secret, is it, Graham? To be honest, it's not really a secret. But why do we overcomplicate it by creating these different, who creates the labels?
Ooh, now there's a whole different conversation there about the medical profession and the drug and all that profession. There's a whole different conversation there, which
So
I'm
we're
not
going
going to
there
have
then.
right now.
We're not going there then.
We are not going there at all. But you're right, it's not a secret, and yet nobody tells us. You know, we're not taught this at school. Our doctors won't tell us. Maybe they don't know. I'm not sure. The media won't tell us that we are just overcomplicating fear. And we do it by, as you absolutely say, by attaching labels, and then more complicated labels. Because you might say, oh, somebody's got anxiety. But as you said, somebody could have social anxiety. In other words, they're scared of going out and meeting other people. Or they could have generalized anxiety disorder, or they could have anxiety about this or anxiety. And there, I don't know how many different types, and I use that word loosely, types of anxiety there are these days. But there seems to be a label for everything, and all those labels are doing is overcomplicating it. And much like phobias, I remember it's a story from my past. Wait for it. Here comes a story from my past.
Go for it.
I remember as a kid, about, I don't know, 12, 13 years old, I guess, being around my friend's house. We were out in the garden kicking a ball about or something, and the ball went under the bush. And my friend said to me, "You'll have to go and get it. I can't go under there. There's spiders under there." I said, "All right, okay, fair enough." No, I didn't like spiders either. But then he said, "And I'm allergic to spiders." And I went, "Oh, okay." So the next time that it went to the other side of the garden, I said, "Well, you can go and get that." Having seen in the fir tree that there's this big spider web with this big ass spider sitting there. And I just walked him underneath it, and he had no idea the spiders there. And I said, "So what happens then when when you're near spiders?" "Oh, I get a rash all over me, and I get all this, and I'm just scared." I said, "Spider up there, you never seen him run so fast in your life." Honestly, he took off running. I've got a phobia, and back then I'm thinking, well, okay, I can understand as a kid making up I'm allergic to them because I don't want to admit I'm scared of them because I'm a 13-year-old lad and I don't want to do that. But these days, do we not just do the same stuff as adults? Do we not just do the same stuff? I've got social anxiety. No, you're scared of going out and talking to people. I've got a phobia of big meetings. You and I go into BNI meetings where there's loads of people around, but people have phobias about going into big meetings. No, you're just scared of going and talking to a whole bunch of other people. In those meetings, we have to stand up and do presentations, and people are petrified of speaking in public. I've got a phobia of speaking in public. No, you're just scared of it. You're fearful of it. And I don't know what it's like in your BNI meeting, but there's always the people that stand up, and you and I are both the same goody. We stand up, we talk nice and loud, and we're quite open. But then there's the other people who will talk like that and just look into their pad and not gonna, because they're fearful of it. But I suppose at least they're breaking through. And that's what we do with fear, right? We just cover it by using these names, these terms. Do you think I'm getting in trouble here?
No, not at all. I just like the fact that you're talking more than me. I like that. Thank you.
Oh,
I need that. You need to carry me today.
Bless him. He's overexerted himself in the gym today, and he's all knackered and tired. Oh,
Unbelievable.
bless.
Absolutely.
Are you just using that as a label, Cuddy?
No, it's yeah, maybe I am. So I wanted to give a shout out to what my guest on last week's show, Rhonda Morrison. And I know her book's going to be out very, very shortly. And we talked about it last week, but it was a fascinating conversation that we talked when we talked about antidepressants, and that she was a psychotherapist, not a psychologist. And the psychotherapist is allowed to administer drugs.
Yeah.
And we had a little conversation before. She said, I actually used to ask the pharmacist. They genuinely knew more about the drugs than I did. I just, look, these are the symptoms that prevail and what's going to be the best one. And the pharmacist would be the one that helped her. She says, I didn't get too bogged down with information. I was just there to diagnose and really give them a space of non-judgment, which I thought was absolutely amazing. I did. If anyone didn't get the chance to see that live last week, go on to the player for Men's Radio Station and check that one out. It was a fascinating story about Rhonda working in the psychiatric wards and the criminal wards. And I just wanted to give it a little bit of a throwback because we touched on because I always ask the questions. I always ask the questions about, because I've said I've got some clients, who are just on antidepressants for overthinking. Nothing else. There's nothing else. They're just overthinking. And being from a place of overthinking, and then I knew what it was. It was fear and all those kind of things. Right. So I do find that, a little bit of a bugbear. Maybe that's something that does trigger me and stuff like that. But that's genuinely what we're talking about. And honestly, if anybody wants to write in and say, right, this is my fear, how do I get past it? Or how do I? Because it's not always about facing up to your fears. You have to work through it. One of the best ways I got through fear is my wife threatened me.
That tends to do it. Yep.
I had a fear of root canal surgery. And I would rather go in and get the tooth out. So I don't have many teeth at the back. I've got a lovely set of teeth at the front, but I don't have much chew at the back. And it was getting so bad at one point that when I was at the dentist, she went, you need to do something about it because I will not be with a husband who's got dentures. So I had to start getting root canal surgery. I was like, right, okay, fair enough. And I absolutely, there's some of the things that I had to do to overcome that. So I realized it was just the sound of the drill that I didn't like. And I remember the sound of the drill when I was in the dentist years ago. And it was that, and it is like going into your brain and stuff like that. So I told the woman, the dentist that I was going to go to, look, I'm petrified. I'm a big guy. If I start swinging, I apologize. She was like, it's all right. All right, it's not a problem. So I started taking my iPod and I found a song called The Drill, which I think is by DJ Jean. I think if you want to Google it. And it was basically a drill sound to dance music. And I had that on repeat play so that when she was drilling away, and I got through it, and then I was like, oh, is that it? She went, yeah, that's it. We're done. For anyone listening, I can't wait to go to the dentist for root canal surgery. I'm like, oh, no, get it in. No. I want root canal surgery. No, you don't need it. No, don't do a filler. Do a root canal surgery. No, your teeth are fine. So it is horrible overcoming things, but you can overcome.
Yeah.
We start creating these reasons to not live our life. And that's what's called limiting beliefs. And those limiting beliefs are the labels of fear. They are the labels that we create to stop us being who we could be. And once those limiting beliefs are like layers of an onion. Because once we pulled one away, another one pops up. And you think, no, I'm not down to the part of the onion that I need to get to. Then something else pops up. Then something else pops up till you get down to what the actual fear is. So what's your take on that, Graham?
I've got a dentist story all of my own that I'm sure Paula won't mind me sharing. When we were first together, Paula, absolutely, she was like you. She was fearful of the dentist. I wanted to use some of the tools and techniques and stuff that I have. But at that point, we'd only probably been seeing each other about 3 months, and she really didn't trust that I could help her like that. So she did ask me to at least, take her to the dentist because she couldn't drive afterwards. So she went to the doctors first and said to the doctor, "Look, I've got to go and have this fixed because it's painful." So the doctor gave her diazepam and told her to take one, maybe two. As we got into the car park, she took 5. So she got in there, passed out in the chair, had the stuff done, whatever it was, and then they said, "Look, there's a fire door at the back here. Go and pull your car up as close as you can to that. We'll take her out of there." And basically, they woke her up enough just about to walk to the car. When we got back to my house, I woke her up enough just about to walk her upstairs into the bedroom, and she passed out for 6 hours. So I know what fear of dentists is like. However, since then, I've been able to work with her and do exactly the same as you do. You break the fear down.
Yeah.
If anybody hasn't seen the book, it's called The 5-Second Miracle, I think, or something like that, by Mel Robbins. Actually, that she has a process in there for getting past fears that is really, really simple to use. So she uses the example of getting on a plane to go on holiday, where people are fearful of flying, and people say all the time, "I've got a phobia of flying." Yeah, you're fearful of flying. I get that. Okay, thanks very much. But she has this process because she was fearful of flying, in the fact that beforehand she will do the prep work, in the fact that she will visualize what's on the other end, the time sitting on the beach, the time with your kids, the time relaxing with a margarita, or whatever you're doing, basically all of the amazing stuff that you're going to do while you're on holiday. So as she gets onto the plane and she starts to get fearful, she counts down 5 to 1 and then focuses all on all that amazing stuff, because that's how quickly our fears kick in, isn't it? It really is like that.
Yeah.
But as soon as that starts to kick in, if you go, first of all, you confuse the mind by counting from 5 to 1, and then you force yourself consciously to visualize all the amazing stuff that's going to be in front of you. You shift the focus of your mind from that fear into, wow, this is going to be awesome. And that's a really, really good process for getting over that initial stage of fear. You can then do some work behind that with phobias and fears and stuff like that. And there's some great tools with NLP and life coaching to do that. But that's a really good way to do it. Just understand what the great stuff the other end is going to be. I've never quite figured how she did it on the way home, though, because I never want to leave my holiday. So if I'm looking to go home, I'll be like, well, I'd rather stay here and be fearful and enjoy the beach. But
very true.
It's a really great and simple process for anybody who wants to get over that initial stage of fear. But I think the really important thing we have to say here is that the best way to get over any fear is to make it conscious as to what the patterns you're using. Those patterns of what are you thinking in that moment? What's the language you're using? What do you feel physically? So when you understand them consciously, you can then change them consciously and think, okay, I can feel it coming on, do something different. And with everything we do as coaches, like you were talking about limiting beliefs, the moment we start to make it conscious, we can make a conscious choice. While it's unconscious, it's just a pattern that's running over and over again, and we can't do an awful lot about it. So we make it conscious with our clients and then help them to choose more conscious and more advantageous options. Would that be fair to say? That's how you work as a coach?
No, because I'm listening to you on this one. I would always, when it comes to phobias and fears, I've worked with OCD and irrational thoughts and irrational thinking, and I know how that. But I mean, the word is in the title, isn't it? Irrational. So I have, it really is. So I've worked with people on that and got them to, right, okay, this is actually not what I want to do and stuff like that. So that's fantastic. But fears, I've never actually, someone's never come to me and said, which is why I said you're more the expert on this one. And I always watch the Speakmans quite a lot as well. So I was watching the Speakmans, go through the process of what the overcoming fears were. And it was a Lego brick. And it was a woman that had said, oh, I've got a fear of Lego bricks. Can't touch them, can't get near them. It's just like horrible. And literally just on TV, they were like, well, okay, let's just find out what happened when Lego brick. First time. Go back to the first time that you realized that Legos were, well, my mum and dad were arguing. Okay. What were your mum and dad saying? They were having an argument about this, this, and this. Okay. So you blame the Lego brick for your mum and dad arguing.
Okay.
So if you assign the blame to your mum and dad arguing and not the Lego brick, how do you feel about the Lego brick? Because you won't have a fear of your mum and dad. They're like, well, no, I don't actually. So it's not a fear of Lego bricks. No, what's a Lego brick ever done to you? Well, actually nothing. So why have you got a fear of Lego bricks? So then they turned straight in after, how do you feel about it? She went, I'm not bothered about Lego bricks, am I? I was like, no. And I was like, that's a fascinating thing because we assign blame.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that we do, which is why I often say, you don't have anxiety, you're creating it, because it is that repeated pattern of behaviors. And I really like that because we can start seeing it come on. And I always recognize when depression is coming on. And I hear a lot of people recently say, oh, I suffer with depression and stuff like that. I'm like, actually, I don't suffer with depression. I haven't done for a long time because I can identify it coming on. I'm like, all right, okay, my thoughts are a little bit more insecure. They're a little bit more, right, so what do I need to do? Well, I need to change the way I think. And that's why I change the way, change your thoughts, change your life. So it is created by thought. And a lot of the times, those thoughts that come in, we don't know where they come from. And that's what can really, because once we start creating those stories, which your monkey mind absolutely loves to do, the truth of the fact gets lost in the murky waters of thought. And that's what I'm always trying to help people with, which is why I wanted to do this, the subject that we're talking about today, overcoming fears and phobias instantly. Because one of the best things you can do to overcome a fear is literally go and stand at the side of the fear. And talk about what you think is going to happen when you go outside. And talk yourself the way through it, and then realize, let's go and test that belief. And then when you get to it, yeah, you're going to feel anxious, but give it 60 seconds and tell me if what you think is going to happen happens. And then you're in it after 60 seconds. Oh, well, it didn't happen. So you've kind of really instantly overcome your fears by facing them, which is not easy, Graham. And I don't sit on a perch of any of this is easy whatsoever. I think we like to create a belief system within ourselves that we are complicated human beings, and maybe we're not complicated human beings. Maybe that's a belief system. No, we're not complicated. Your brain's got a job to do. Everything has a positive intention. It's just probably not serving you as a positive. So something that wanted to keep you safe when you were 6 years old was a positive, but now it's showing up in your life as anxiety and a fear is not a positive intention now. It served its purpose. Does that make sense?
It does, absolutely. And I was listening intently to the Lego brick story you were saying there, from where you learned that. And I was thinking, I remember watching an NLP practitioner and therapist working with in a training that I went to, working with somebody who had a stutter, and he went through pretty much the same process. I think it is an NLP process.
Yep.
Where he said, just remember back until to the first point that you can even remember stuttering. Hi,
Kanika Singal. Hiya.
Hello. This guy said, okay, yeah, I can remember the first time I remember stuttering. And he said, so what was going on? And he said, my parents were arguing. And he said, all right, okay, so what happened when you stuttered? He said, well, I went to tell them to stop, please stop arguing. And I went, please stop arguing. And they stopped immediately because he'd stuttered. So all of a sudden, anytime his parents argued, he stuttered. But because they would argue a lot, he would therefore stutter a lot. So it just became part of his life that he stuttered. And the moment he'd said that, he kind of went, so I don't have a stuttering problem then. When he first stood up, he went, I've got a stuttering problem. And he went, so I don't have a stuttering problem then. And he went, well, it doesn't appear so. And as that, it was a 7-day course. So as that week then went on, I think that was about day 2, there would be little bits and pieces that he would start stuttering again. And he'd just stop himself, catch himself consciously, take a breath, and then start talking normally. And it was purely because of that process that you described with the Lego that he was able to see that stutter was connected to his parents arguing and not him. What he'd done is he'd built the pattern up over the years that his whole body had said, "Oh, well, you're a stutterer," and he had identified as a stutterer, and we, identifying as something, identifying as fearful, or identifying as having a phobia, or identifying as stuttering, it just hits every part of our entire system, and that's what happened to him. So you're absolutely right. If you want to get over fears and phobias, figure out where it comes from, what it actually was about and not what you think it's about, and then make it a conscious process. And that's how we do it. And to answer Kanika's question, I'm awesome. Thank you very much. Cuddy, how are you?
I'm absolutely fantastic.
So if you were to offer somebody right here and now, if somebody's watching that has a fear or a phobia or something like that, what would be the first thing you would tell them to do to get over it?
Talk them through what they think is going to be the outcome.
Yep.
And then do a percentage of how realistic is that actually going to happen. So if your fear is the fear of flying, and I say, right, what do you think is going to happen if you fly? Well, I'm going to die. Okay. Let's talk you through a percentage of how many people actually die on a plane. In the past hour, there has been 1,000 flights in the world, and not one person's died or been reported dead. So that's a 1 in 1,000 chance that what you're believing in is not going to happen. Then they'll come back with, yeah, but what about the other? Right. I said, let's widen the scope then. Over the past 24 hours, there's been 24,000 flights. Okay. How many people have died in the past day, in the past hour? Well, none, right? Oh, so that's a 1 in 24,000 chance that you're going to die, right? Okay. Open that up to last year, there was 20 million flights, only one person died. So 1 in 20 million chance that your fear is indeed correct. And I won't take it away from you. Do you that want that? And I've done this. I have literally done this. And I say to them, do you buy raffle tickets or lottery tickets? And they went, no, I'm not going to win. I said, so you won't buy a lottery ticket because you're not going to win. Your chances of winning the lottery are much higher than dying on a plane. How do you feel about your fear now? Well, that's not how it works. I said, that is how it works. And I said, I'll give you a 7-day challenge for whatever your fear is. Every time you bottle answering the phone or whatever your fear is, you have to go and buy yourself a raffle ticket. You have got to go and buy yourself a lottery ticket. And I've had clients say to me, I'll be skint by next Friday. Okay, not a problem. I said, you will have 75 chances to win on the lottery. And as silly as that, I've had people come back. Do you know what, Kenny? I never once bought a lottery ticket. I haven't won the lottery, but you know what? I haven't got the fear anymore. And I was like, that's it. That is it. And I think that was one of my first or second clients. And I don't know. I think I maybe wanted to get in contact with you, Graham, and go, Graham, it can't be this easy. It cannot be this easy. So, thank you very much to Kanika. Kanika says, great analogy. So a lot of the times, a lot of people say, well, what do you use? What modality do you use to get people where they need to be? And I hold my hands up and say, logic. Logic. I said, because your monkey mind is going to throw up this bullshit story that's not real because it's based in emotions, it's based in fear, and that chatter and those thoughts is lies. 100%, shouldn't say 100%, 85% of the time, it's a lie. Yes, we've got traumas, everything's in the past, and we think, well, it's happened once, well, it's happened to me twice, it's going to happen to me again. Not a problem, I get that. It's happened to you twice. In 30 years, how many opportunities? Are you looking at the two instead of the greater picture? Because I bet you there's more chances where something could have happened that didn't, but you're looking at the pain. And that's genuinely what I've done, Graham. That's genuinely what I've done when I'm talking to people. What about you?
I think, yeah, logic kind of sits with where I sit as well about making it conscious. you're making the story that they're telling themselves in that moment conscious to them, and then discovering, is it really true? And there are some great modalities out there, as you say. The NLP that we talked through a few minutes ago works. NLP also has a cinema tool, cinema strategy, where you watch yourself twice removed, if you like. That's a really powerful strategy. But the truth is, when you make it conscious and destroy the story or stories that somebody's telling themselves about that fear, about that phobia, about that anxiety, about that limiting belief, about pretty much anything, when you destroy that and show them the truth, then it becomes undeniable to them. And that is the starting of the process of removing that. And for some people, it'll happen like that. For some people, it will take a week or two for it to process, and they'll have to keep reminding themselves. But eventually, it will break down, because every time their unconscious mind kicks something up, their conscious mind's going, but I know that's utter bull. I know that's rubbish now. I know that that this is the truth. And I know that's rubbish. So please just go and do one. And eventually it processes in through their entire system, and they're not fearful anymore. Even to the fact, and like you said about the dentist, to the point that people get to enjoy the process, because all of a sudden it's great to be in that process that they were so fearful of. And that really is a win for anybody. If anybody has been fearful of getting on a plane and going on holiday, to not have that fear, to be able to enjoy the process of going on holiday, just adds something extra to the holiday. Now, if people could just get me past disliking packing for the holiday, that would be great. That's not a fear. I just don't like doing it. But that's a different story altogether.
You can overcome that straight away by going to a nature holiday. A nature holiday, a naturist holiday where you don't have to wear clothes. Boom! Done. I've resolved your issue instantly, Graham.
Instantly. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do on the plane. I'm not sure the British Airways are going to enjoy me
to get there. That's fine, and then you get them washed and you wear them when you come home. I've resolved your issue instantly. That's why I'm the UK's leading.
The UK's leading naturist coach.
Absolutely. So I actually go on.
No, go on. I was going to say. Now we've solved everybody's fear and phobia problems. We've got half hour left. What should we talk about?
Right. So what I was going to do, what I was going to talk about, because it's still on the thing, is that I know, and I've done this with a lot of my clients as well, is when people tell me what their fears are and their problems are and their challenges are, I know, as you know, that we will do anything possible to avoid pain. So when you have a fear, and this is why I've used logic, or an obsessive compulsive disorder behavior, I create a bigger painful story that overcomes that, and it pushes them away from it. I've had a lot of success with that. In fact, one of my friends is now absolutely soaring in Canada from Marissa Peer because of something that I did with her. In fact, it was like a week before she went into the job interview, and she was telling went through certain things. I went, well, if you carry on doing that, you're going to miss out on this, which is what she wanted and what she liked and loved. And I build up a bigger fear that if you carry on that, which is irrational, but yes, I know it's scary, you're missing out on this, which is a bigger pain. So I outbalance the pain. And that's what I've done with the conscious mind, is like, no, the pain's what you think that's causing you the problem, but that you move away from that, which is the lack of family, the lack of love, and the lack of time that you're having because you're doing this. And I always stack the pain up the other side.
Yeah.
Because people will do anything to avoid pain.
So people will do anything to avoid pain, including accepting a lower level of pain to avoid the bigger level of pain. I think we talked about it in the last one. People just do that all the time. Well, it's not great that I'm here right now, but I want to get over there, but that's really scary over there. So I'll just accept the pain of staying where I am because that over there is just really scary and painful, or could be. So I'm not going to do it. People do that all of the time. So stacking pain in the terms that you're using is absolutely correct. People have a fear of getting on a plane to go on holiday. Okay, well, don't go on the holiday, miss out on the holiday, send your family off by themselves, and you miss out on it completely. Now, which is the more painful? And then see how it goes, and then stack it up even more if you really have to, because that really does cause pain. And the bigger amount of pain you'll put up with, the smaller amount of pain to avoid the bigger amount of pain. Absolutely.
You're going to have to take over the show for 2 minutes. I'm going to have to.
You're going for a wee, aren't you?
I am going for a wee live on the radio show. So enjoy talking about fears and phobias.
For God's sake, put yourself on mute. We don't need to hear it. Honestly, folks, I talk about it. I only went before the program started. So let's talk about fear and phobias and pain some more. So imagine yourself in a place where he's gone. Cena, if that's you, you're a superstar. At least we don't have to listen to him going for a week. Imagine yourself in that place of fear or phobia or whatever it may be. Just imagine yourself there for a second. How painful is it to be there when it's really scary, when you're holding yourself back or you're scared of whatever it may be, flying or spiders, whatever. And then consider what more pain would be. What would be even more painful than not doing that thing? So we've been talking about flying quite a lot. What would be even more painful than not flying? Would it be not going on holiday? Or maybe you're flying for work and telling your boss you can't fly for work, so he sacks you and you haven't got a job and you lose all your money and you lose your house and you end up living on the street. I realise that I'm going a bit too far. Oh my God, we keep swapping places. Cena. So just imagine doing that. Really stack the pain up, and you can move past the pain you're currently in by stacking it up, simply by adding, well, what could happen instead? The example, Cuddy, I have no idea which parts of that you are listening to. The example I was using is if somebody's got to fly for their job, as an example, but they're scared of flying, so they tell their boss that they can't fly. What else could happen? There's the pain of not flying, or getting onto a plane and being fearful, or there's the pain of telling your boss, losing your job, losing all your money, losing your house, losing your wife and kids, ended up on the streets, starving, and I don't know, whatever else might happen. There's an awful amount of pain we can stack up, and we can always do that, right? We can always find more levels of pain if we really, really focus on it. If I was to talk to you, you were talking about, I love the story of your dentist story where it was your wife that was threatening you. It's a pain thing, right? You either had the pain of going to the dentist and getting the root canal sorted. What would have happened if you'd have said no after your wife had threatened you?
She would have gone. She don't mess around.
That's the ultimate pain, right?
I was like, yep, she's got a point. She's got a point. She went, I don't want to be with someone with gums flapping, teeth whistling. And I was like, yep, you've got a point. So I had to get on it. Absolutely had to get on it. Yep. And that was a bigger pain for me. Oh, it was horrible going through the dentist thing though. And so I'm a big believer in it. It's so we can do these live radio shows and I see the struggle that people are in. Look, we do. And it's great that we've got these radio shows to actually, we're telling you how you can, if you want to, overcome what's going on. Even by us telling you those questions, have a sit down if you're listening now and think, all right, these two must know what they're talking about. It's their business. It's what they're into. What am I actually losing out on by the fear of cat's eyes, cats, Lego bricks? What do I actually lose out on? Go through the process and realize what you're actually missing out on. I'm not saying that anxiety is something that is willy-nilly, because I know that people are stressed and I know that people have got anxiety. We know that. It's unbelievable. Oh, David Green's in. Oh, thanks to both of you. I know. David, yeah, I know we got a thumbs up there. I don't know if that's sarcasm or truth. David, please, you're more than welcome to. But it's one of those things that actually there is so much free information out there that you can overcome these things as we've had to do ourselves and stuff like that. And I think that's the beauty of all these things is, even I saw someone on TikTok the other day. It was a hypnotist, and he was like, I'd read up on the vagus nerve, and I didn't realize how important the vagus nerve was and how much you can do just by it was looking up, opening your mouth, and breathing through your nose, and it triggered something in the vagus nerve. And I'm like, that makes total sense to absolutely stop your anxiety in the track. But the reason people carry on and they struggle with things is because I think we overcomplicate things and possibly start saying it can't, it's not that easy. You don't know my story, Graham. You can't sit there and say that's how easy it is to get on the plane. I get the downside and the horribleness of anxiety and the lostness that we have, which is why we tell our stories, why we sit on these pews of, well, this is what we can do. We can touch on depression, because depression is something that, you know, there's different times of depression, and I get that. But when you're in that place of woe is me, and that's depression, well, what about me? No one cares about me. That's depression. You know, a lot of the times I do ask, what you're thinking about. Oh, well, I'm thinking about this one thing that just horrible. And how long ago was that? Well, it was 2 years ago. Okay. Do you think about anything else? No, I just think about that. Why? Because it hurts so much. Absolutely. Not saying it doesn't. Tell me one memory that you have that brings you nothing but joy and lights up your face. And I did this with somebody just a few days ago, and he told me the birth of his daughter. I went, that is a phenomenal memory. Why don't you think of that? What do you mean? Well, why don't you think about your birth of your daughter? It brings you joy. It brings you happiness. And he was like, well, can I do that? I'm like, aye, that's your choice. That's literally, you've just said, oh, well, I wake up in the morning, I'm thinking about this, and it goes on all day. Change your thoughts. Change your life. Oh, what's David Green saying? Life is the way it should be now. Graham's NLP meditations. Good,
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't prescribe medications, folks. No, don't. It's just a mistake by David. Thank you for correcting that, David. Not sure my insurance could be covering that.
Oh, yeah, David, you're absolutely right. Turning off social media. Even I've noticed I've got a little bit more into social media recently when I wake up in the morning. But I was going through social media today and I was like, I've just realized all my social media feed is positive, empowering, get your ass up and go and do something stuff. Because I was like, none of it. I said, actually, he's like, yep, this is. So my social media feed is get up, do something, strive, struggle, survive. Yep. I've enjoyed that. I've realized that my social media was empowering me. See, if you use it to empower you, it's not a negative thing, Graham.
That's it. Social media is great, isn't it? In a way, because if you stop and read something, it will show you more of that. It recognizes that that's what you're doing. So if you stop and read something positive, empowering, it's going to show you more of that. So if you stop and read 10 things that are positive, empowering, that's what it's going to do in your social media feed. If you're then adding stuff to social media that's positive, empowering, you're going to see more of that as well. So that's a way through that. And David, by the way, I really appreciate what you said about the NLP stuff, and I'm so happy that it's made a massive change in your life. And thank you for saying that. I will just say that you had to make that choice. My NLP course might have been there, but you had to make the choice to go through it. You had to make the choice to do the exercises, and therefore, please take the responsibility and the celebration into yourself as well, because you had to do that. Just my course happened to help you along the way, so it was down to you and not me, David. So, but thank you for your comments. I appreciate that.
Now, if I'm not much mistaken, David, give me a thumbs up. Did you call me, David? I told you to call me and said we'll have a chat. And after we chatted for an hour, I'm sure it's the same person. I'm sure it's the same David Green, because he used to call himself Kermit. I think it was Kermit. Was it Kermit? Do you remember when we used to have Kermit tune in? And I spoke for an hour. I said, yep, I get you've had all those things going on. Try the NLP course. And I think I sent him to your course, Graham. I said, try it.
Cool.
See what you're going to do, because NLP changed my life 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Cool. I was going to talk about something else, and it's just completely gone out of my mind, just like that. It will come back in a second.
Has it gone out of your mind, or are you over exaggerating? Because it hasn't, because your mind is a never expending consciousness that's always going on. Never, it just keeps going. It never stops expanding. So, has it slipped your mind?
Slipped my mind, but it hasn't gone out of it. My pattern was, I tell you, that's it. See, like that, it comes back. I knew it would come back. So here's something for people to try that kind of follows on from what we've been talking about. And I did this a long time ago when I was first learning hypnotherapy. Actually, I did this with somebody. So if you imagine the thing you're fearful of, or the thing you have a phobia about, and you hold out one hand and you metaphorically put it in the palm of that hand. Whatever it is, you metaphorically put it in there. So if it's a fear of flying, or a fear of spiders, or whatever it may be, fear of public speaking or social anxiety, whatever it may be, put it in that hand and understand that feels pretty bad in that hand. And then in your other hand, hold up your other hand, and in that hand, first of all, stack up all of the pain that you can feel by not doing whatever that is. So again, if it's the flying on a plane, consider all the negatives about not flying on a plane. So whether it's not going on holiday, or not flying for work and losing your job, or not being able to spend time with your family, or maybe your family lives across country or in another country, whatever it be, just stack all that up. And then also in that hand, stack up all the great things that will happen when you do that thing. So think about seeing your family, or being out to work, or whatever it may be. Just stack them all up. So you have a stack of real bad pain about stuff that won't happen, and a stack of real great, amazing stuff that when it will. And then just start to feel the weight in which one is more weighty at the moment. And I'm going to guess that when you're doing that one that's got all the pain stacked up and all the pleasure stacked up will start to feel more weighty. And this one, well, you know what? It's almost like there's nothing in there at all. It's very light. And it just kind of starts to become really light, whereas that one becomes really heavy, because that one all of a sudden means more in your life because it's more heavy, so you're holding on to it. Whereas this one just kind of, it's almost like there's nothing there now, and it's very light and it's just going away. Whereas this one is really heavy because it means so much in your life. All of that pain from not doing whatever that thing was over there, I can't even remember what it was, all of that pain in there, but all the pleasure from doing it as well is really heavy because it means so much in your life, and really that just has nothing at all anymore. And then just focus on this hand and all of the great things that you get to do, and all of the pain that you get to avoid simply by doing the thing that you can't even remember what was fearful anyway.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. It's the same David. It was the same David. He had a fascinating story. And he was Kermit, yes. So thank you, David. Thank you for tuning in, and lovely feedback, by the way. Lovely feedback. So yeah, no, there is so many things that we can talk about, and I know that we're going to be back in 2 weeks. We've actually gone through nearly 50 minutes already, Graham. 50 minutes.
Where did that go again? Honestly, where did that go? Do you know what? Before we get to the end of the show, because normally we do this at the end of the show, but I want to do it right now so that people hear about, well, particularly about you. Can you tell us about Monkey Mind Relaxation, about mind management coaching, and of course about Cuddy, the Cudworth?
Right. Okay. Yes. So, the UK's leading mind management. I help people to manage their mind. Literally, if you've ever heard the term, "Oh, it's all in your mind," yes, it is, and it can be managed. And we do it by bringing your subconscious mind to your conscious mind, so you can make better decisions. And I am working with a lot of people on those things. It's not always about depression. It's not always about working with anxiety. But yes, we do. We work on the mental and emotional health as well. And I work with many, many businesses for giving their staff mental and health, emotional help. So there's some fantastic companies that are doing that recently. I work with sports stars. I've got a new client coming in very shortly from Canada, who's going to be a future ice hockey star, actually, because we get into those flusters when we get into the high performance states. So I'm going to be working on that using NLP and visualization. So yeah, that's what I do and help with. We do loads of free things. I think meditation is a phenomenal thing. Being heard is a phenomenal thing, and that helps. And that's what I did when I spoke to David completely for free. I said, David, just get in contact. Everyone gets a complimentary session. And we created some better options for him. So I do that quite a lot. We do live meditation, which is meta meditation on a Monday. And if you want to really, really start working on yourself and taking an investment in yourself to level up and take back control of your monkey mind, which is probably what's causing your anxiety, your worry, your overthinking, your emotions, those lashing out circumstances that I've been in, definitely. There is a course available to buy from my Facebook group or the website, Monkey Mind Relaxation. That course is called Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life. And it's made some massive, massive changes to the people that have bought the course, because they're like, now I get it, because I simplify things. That's the one thing I do, Graham. Make it simple.
Absolutely. And having known a couple of people that have bought your course, I know what an impact that is. So, folks, if you're out there and you think, oh, well, I'd love to be coached, but I can't really afford a coach at the moment, because we appreciate what's going on in the world at the moment. Cuddy's, if you can't afford a coach, then Cuddy's course is like 79 quid. It's, what is there, 6 hours worth of video content on there that will just talk you through everything you need to know.
I think there's more. It'll take you about 4 weeks to get through. If you were to spend 15 minutes a night watching a video and thinking, right, I'll do that tomorrow, now I understand what's going to happen, it would take you about 4 weeks to get through it. And then there is a 6-week challenge that breaks it down on the neurolinguistic levels of, right, what's your problem? Let's work through the 6-week step. And your problems will go away. And you will have done that yourself. And it's funny because the people that have spoken to me, like, Cuddy, I've done your course, and it's like, I'm answering you on the screen. And I'm like, that's so nice. Thank you so much for saying that. But it's like, it's like I've got you in my room. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it is the build. Absolutely. Graham, tell the world about yourself.
So I run the Priority Academy. The Priority Academy is primarily an online learning system. You can learn to be a life coach, or you can learn meditation or mindfulness or CBT or tapping or anything like that. There's also some self-help stuff for stress and for procrastination, all sorts of stuff like that. I'm also a coach. I'm an emotional and mental health coach. I'm not going to call myself a mind management coach, because that's...
You wouldn't be the UK's leader.
No, I wouldn't dare do that. But I am a coach, so I help people as well. And Cuddy and I, we have this passion between us to simplify the mental and emotional health world, to simplify how we use our minds, because it's so complicated, and we have this passion. We want to help so many people to do that. And we're doing that, Cuddy through Monkey Mind Relaxation, myself through the Priority Academy. We're going to be doing some more stuff together to help businesses to support their employees. And we're going to really... I love to think we're going to change the world. I really do. I would love to think that we could put a dent in this pandemic that is mental health, or poor mental health. Yes. And I would love to think we could put a dent in that by simplifying the process, not by having people into therapy for weeks upon months upon years and so on, but as Cuddy said earlier, by doing things simply and in 4 to 6 sessions, usually 4, but maybe 6 sessions at a push. We can have people at the point where they can go and mind manage their lives for the rest of their lives. We're not talking about making your life perfect. We're talking about getting you to a point where you can keep working on your life, because life's not perfect. We're going to feel those emotions of depression or stress or anxiety at some point, but we're going to teach you and coach you into how to manage that process. And that's what we help people do. And that's what the Priority Academy does. So if you want to join me, then look up thepriorityacademy.com. If you want to look up Cuddy, look at monkeymindrelaxation.com. Come and join.
You should know by now, Graham. I talk about monkey mind all the time.
I know. We've both got Facebook groups. Come and find our Facebook groups and join in. Cuddy, as Cuddy said, he does loads of free meditations in there. There's a whole bunch of free stuff in my group. just come and join in and start helping yourself. I tell you the one thing, and I always say this to my clients, the one thing I always remember when I was suffering with depression, stress, and anxiety was that I wanted to help myself. I didn't want to be in counseling and therapy for loads and loads of time. I didn't want to take medication. I appreciate they have their place, and that everybody has their own choice on that. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to help myself, and that's what Cuddy and I now do. Is we help people to help themselves. It's as simple as that. Because we're not going to fix all your problems, but we will help you to help yourself to fix your problems. That's what we do. Would that be fair to say, Cuddy?
Yes, and I'd like to echo. I always say this to most of my clients, and I do this when I do like the complimentary little speaking, just to see if it triggers something, because it always does. First of all, I want to open the conversation. You're not broken. You don't need fixing. There's always like I've been thinking about that for a while. I'm like, yep, because I used to think that. I thought I was broken, and I thought I needed fixing. Nope, you have misaligned thoughts. You've got a monkey mind that's overreactive, and it's all based in fear, and we can work on it. And yes, we've talked about this. I remember when I first did one of my courses, and it says, you'll have to have somebody in counseling or therapy for about 8 to 20 sessions. And I was like, that's an awful lot, to be honest with you. And then my first client, we made these massive breakthroughs in 4 sessions. I'm like, well, that's it. That literally, I'll do a 4-session program. And if they need an extra session, I'll throw it in for free, because I'm like, just to make sure it gives us both the space. And they're like, oh, right, I can do that. Not a problem. So there we go.
Yeah, I think, and David, you've probably seen it in my NLP course, because I'm pretty sure I say it multiple times in there. There's not a person on this planet that's broken. There's not a person on this planet that needs fixing. All you need is a little bit of help to help yourself. And Cuddy, I'm going to leave it to you to throw it in. What if you don't need therapy?
What if you just need better mind management?
Anybody think we'd rehearse that? And we really didn't.
We didn't. And if you suffer with the curse of what if, that's pretty much not broken, just wired differently. Yep. Do you know what? I was thinking about doing a positive quote recently, because things when I'm in the gym pop up, and I know we've got 3 minutes left, and I wanted to say, what if your label of ADHD or whatever PTSD you want to see, what if that label is your superpower? Instead of looking at your label of I can't do something, what if your label is your superpower? And on that bombshell,
I think you might have just come up with the title for the next show in 2 weeks' time.
We have to write that down. It's gold, right?
Yeah,
that's gold.
Absolutely, that is absolutely gold. Yeah, so write that down, folks. If you're watching this week, guess what we'll be talking about in 2 weeks' time? What if your label is your superpower? I absolutely love that. Now, as it happens, Cuddy and I share a superpower. Cuddy, what's your superpower?
Breath.
Coaching.
Oh, in coaching.
Yeah. Listening. What's your superpower?
Listening.
Okay. You've said something different to me before, and I thought you were going to do it then.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Man, he's blowing it out of the water. See, we were doing so well with the quote in a minute ago. Right. So Cuddy and I's superpower is within 20 to 30 minutes of talking to you, we will know where the issues are, so that we can then spend the rest of the time helping you to resolve your issues for yourself. That's his superpower. He just didn't know it at that time.
Do you know what? I am so sorry. And I know we've got like a minute and a half, because I had to remember when I called you. I went like, Graham, I've got is this judgment, or is this like a superpower? Because I can pretty much figure out what somebody's challenge is in 15, 20 minutes. He went, yeah, that's literally what we do now. I said, that's not judgment. He's like, no, that's you're a coach. I was like, oh, wow. The fun part, which Graham said, is just don't tell everyone what their problem is. I'm like, right, okay, fair enough. That's the bit I was missing out on. Big love from Cuddy.
David, thank you much for your thanks. We really appreciate it. To everybody who's watching, thank you very much. We've got about 35 seconds left, so I'm going to leave the last 30 seconds to my good friend, Mr. Cuddy Cudworth. Tell us your parting message for today.
What if? What if you just need better mind management? 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 you could change your thoughts and change your life for less than the price of a Netflix subscription for 1 year, would you do it?
I'm in. I'll book your sessions later on. Folks, thank you very much for watching. It's been awesome. We will see you in 2 weeks' time. Goodbye for now, folks.
Bye-bye.